In a village in Balochistan, two people fell in love, not secretly, not shamefully, openly, bravely, as if they believed the world wouldn't punish them for it. They didn't hide. They walked back home together because their family told them, "Come back, all is forgiven." That was the lie. 27 words sent through a phone, every one sharpened like a dagger. "We accept you. We'll work it out. Just come home." They thought this was the end of running, the start of healing. But what waited for them wasn't forgiveness. It was a firing squad. In the name of honor, their own family planned an ambush. 8 relatives, rifles ready, faces masked by tradition, not cloth. The couple didn't try to escape. They took each other's hand and kept walking forward. They weren't naive. They were hopeful. The most dangerous state of all, because hope tricks you into trusting monsters. And in that final moment, they still believed love could be louder than bullets. But this is Balochistan, and in some parts of this land a kiss can be a death sentence. This isn't just a crime. It's a psychological study in calculated cruelty. Why didn't they just stay away? Why did they go back? Because trauma has a reflex. It runs toward the familiar, even when that familiarity smells like gasoline. You hope the people who raised you won't raise a gun. That blood matters. That forgiveness is real. But for some families, control is stronger than love, and the illusion of honor is a weapon sharper than any blade. This wasn't a moment of rage. This was premeditated. This was strategic. This was evil dressed in family clothing. They lured them home like hunters baiting deer. And still, they came. Because some part of them believed. Some part of them had to. That's the tragedy. Not that they were killed, but that they trusted the ones who pulled the trigger. In the next chapter, we go deeper into the architecture of betrayal. Who are the people who planned this? Why does family so often become the executioner? And what does that say about the sickness hiding inside the walls of some homes? The bullets didn't come from strangers, not criminals. Family. They died at the hands of people who once rocked them to sleep. The uncle aimed first. The cousin confirmed a kill. And the grandfather, the oldest one, nodded in approval. This wasn't a crack in the family. This was the family. Mothers, fathers, brothers, all standing under the same roof. And not one soul said, "Stop." In psychology, there's a term for this: moral outsourcing. When individuals hide behind a group to avoid feeling guilt. The gun doesn't feel heavy. When 8 hands are holding it, no one takes responsibility, because everyone shares it. And when shame is shared, it disappears. In that moment, they weren't family. They were a firing squad in wedding clothes. The bullets didn't come from strangers, not militants, not criminals, Fanny. They died at the hands of people who once rocked them to sleep. The uncle aimed first. The cousin confirmed the kill. And the grandfather, the oldest one, nodded in approval. This wasn't a crack in the family. This was the family. Mothers, fathers, brothers, all standing under the same roof. And not one soul said, "Stop." In psychology, there's a term for this: moral outsourcing. When individuals hide behind a group to avoid feeling guilt. The gun doesn't feel heavy. When 8 hands are holding it, no one takes responsibility, because everyone shares it. And when shame is shared, it disappears. In that moment, they weren't family. They were a firing squad in wedding clothes. The betrayal wasn't just in the bullets. It was in the weeks leading up to them, in the conversations around tea, the coded questions, the nervous glances. Someone bought ammunition. Someone decided where they'd stand. Someone chose the day and time. And someone, maybe an elder, drafted the message that said, "Come home, we accept you." Every part of this was like an architectural blueprint, designed to look like a house, but built to be a trap. You think family protects you, but in these killings, family becomes the weapon. Generational rot. Pride passed down like inheritance. Control masked as culture. The irony, the people who planned this call themselves men of honor. But honor doesn't shoot its daughters. It doesn't dig graves for lovers. It doesn't punish freedom with bullets. What they call tradition is just cowardice with a beard. And behind it all is fear. Not fear of shame, but fear of change. A woman who chooses love threatens the entire order. A man who defies tribal law becomes a virus in the bloodstream. So they cut them out like infection. Not because they were bad, but because they were brave. This wasn't one person pulling a trigger. This was decades of conditioning, years of silence, an entire village that taught Better a dead daughter than a disobedient one. So when the shots rang out, they didn't just kill 2 people, they killed the future. In Chapter 3, we walk with them, step by step into the moment of death. You'll hear what they might have thought, and how, in the end, they walked not as victims, but as defiant lovers facing execution with dignity. Step 1. The desert greets them with a furnace wind. He squeezes her hand. She thinks it's nerves. He knows it's goodbye. Step 7. A sparrow lifts off a fence but stony witness bold enough to stay. Stoic whisper. Courage is seeing the trap and walking anyway. Step 13. The village rooflines appear. 2 shapes at the gate, uncles with lowered eyes. Her pulse doubles. His grip tightens. Step 18. Phone buzz in his pocket. Hurry. 1 word. Cold. Efficient. Betrayal pinging like a metronome. Step 22. She imagines her mother pouring tea, smile, trembling, maybe forgiveness. He imagines a living room embrace that melts years of exile. Hope sharpest of knives keeps them moving. Step 29. A rifle barrel gleams behind a half-closed door. Sweat beads on his temple. Turns to ice in the heat. Fight. Run. Too late. Pride won't let him sprint from family. Step 31. They cross the courtyard threshold. 8 men emerge, rifles leveled like crooked branches. No chance, no warning. Step 32. He recognizes every face. Cousin, neighbor, brother, blood becomes iron. Step 33. I'm sorry. Mouth. Moves eyes. Do not. Shame petrified and Step 34. He turns to her. 1 microsecond download of everything they'll never grow old to see. Last eye contact. He smells more defiant. Step 35. She lifts her chin toward the sun, refuses to grant killers the dignity of her fear. Stoic decree. If death is the price, pay it standing. Step 36. No more steps. Sand stills. Air holds its breath. He whispers, love, nothing more. She answers, always, barely sound. But enough. Bodies drop forward, not back, as if still walking momentum of faith carrying them into dust. Blood darkens the sand. Sun keeps burning, indifferent. Village windows stay shuttered. Guilt hides behind curtains. Neuroscience note. The brain takes 13 milliseconds to register betrayal. That's all the time they had to see killers turn from kin to executioners. Final echo. They died facing the light, not the rifles. Cowards shoot backs. The brave meet daylight head on. 8 rifles, 8 fingers, and not 1 man willing to go first. Because pulling the trigger is easy. Owning it, that's harder. So they stood in a line like cowards always do, waiting for the first man to make the shame easier. So they decided, let's do it together. 1 volley, 1 blur, 1 collective stain they could all deny. Psychology calls it diffusion of responsibility. When many people commit a crime, each believes their part is too small to matter. But 8 bullets killed 2 people, not 1. Each man pulled his trigger. Each man destroyed something sacred, and each man now hides behind the phrase, it wasn't just me. They didn't just kill lovers, they killed the possibility of future love in that village. Because if you can shoot your own niece, if you can aim at your cousin's chest, what won't you destroy to preserve the illusion of power? Stoic law. Shared murder doesn't divide shame, it multiplies guilt. These weren't protectors of tradition, they were consigned cowards. They needed each other to feel strong, because alone, not one of them had the spine to act. Not 1 man said, put the gun down. Not 1 lowered their aim. Not 1 wept afterward. In fact, they celebrated, called it honor, praised themselves for protecting culture. But all they protected was the myth that obedience is worth blood. Here's the quiet truth, buried under gunpowder and shame. No one wanted to be the killer, so they all became one together. And that, in the end, is how evil survives. Through groupthink, through shared denial, through synchronized silence. This wasn't a crime of passion, it was a performance of power. And when everyone's guilty, no one speaks. 2 bodies fall, face first, into the dust they once played in. A boy and girl now headlines. 74 villagers, watching, not speaking, not moving, not interrupting. No one screamed, no one begged, no one even whispered. Neuroscience fact. When the brain detects extreme threat, it chooses between 3 responses: fight, flight, or freeze. But this wasn't fear, this was complicity. The crowd didn't flee, It calcified into stone-faced obedience. One woman dropped her teacup. That was the only sound. A young boy clutched his father's hand and whispered, "Why are they lying still?" His father shushed him. A teacher turned her face away. A shopkeeper pretended to check prices. A neighbor stared straight ahead into the guns, into the gore, as if looking too long might make guilt permanent. No one filmed. No one cried. No one buried the body. For hours, the lovers remained in the courtyard, blood drying in the heat, dust settling over them like a second grave. Not one of the 74 moved forward. And in doing nothing, they all moved backward. There is no such thing as a silent witness, because silence is noise, deafening, brutal, and complicit. Stoic truth. To see injustice and say nothing is to commit it twice. Their silence was not passive. It was tactical. A self-defense mechanism dressed as respect. A community pretending its hands are clean while standing in blood. Here's what most people won't say. The second murder didn't come from the rifles. It came from the lips that stayed shut, the windows that closed, the feet that refused to move, because every second the bodies remained untouched. Every second the crowd didn't speak. The killers were told, "We agree." That's how honor killings continue. Not just with bullets, but with neighborhoods full of cowards. In the next chapter, we shift again. From silence to action. From death to resistance. What can be done when justice has no courtroom? What can survive the grave? 2 bodies are buried, but not the truth, not the memory, not the war they started by walking home hand in hand. When the justice system fails, when the village watches quietly, when the killers light cigarettes while the blood is still warm, you don't mourn, you mobilize. Grief is no longer a weight, it's a weapon, and this is how you wield it. Step 1. Strip the lie naked. Say the word murder. Not honor, not tradition, not culture. It was cold, coordinated, cowardly murder. There is no language polite enough to cover up what they did, so stop trying. Call it what it is, and say it loud. Step 2. Weaponize memory. Repeat their names until stone walls tremble, until even the dead hear you, and say them out loud right now. These aren't statistics. These aren't martyrs. These were humans who loved and were punished for it. You want to honor them, make them unforgettable, etch their names into digital history, burn them into tattoo them onto collective conscience. Step 3. Break the math of bystanders, but the equation isn't complete. It's not just 8 killers, it's 81 indictments, because silence is a uniform, and everyone who wore it that day is guilty. Justice doesn't stop at the trigger. It expands like gunpowder. If you stood there, you lit the fuse. Stoic formula. Guilt by omission is still guilt. Step 4. Fear no backlash. You will be told to respect the family. You will be warned. Don't meddle in tribal matters. You are not meddling. You are intervening in a crime scene. And if their culture protects murder, it deserves no protection in return. Cowards fear cameras. Tyrants fear memory. Both fear voices louder than their bullets, so speak loud. Now, this isn't just about 2 lovers. It's about the next ones. The ones packing bags right now. The ones whispering vows in secret. The ones wondering if love is worth the price. If we do nothing, they'll be next. And if we act, they might be free. In the next chapter, you'll see what action looks like. How courage spreads like fire from village to village, name to name, grave to garden. They thought killing them would kill the story, that by silencing 2 voices, the rest would stay quiet. They were wrong, because courage doesn't die with the body, it multiplies. Like fire passed from candle to candle, it spreads. One village's shame becomes a nation's wake-up call. One act of cruelty becomes a blueprint for uprising. In Karachi, students lit candles. In Quito, walls filled with names. On Instagram, hashtags turned into war drums. And in whispered corners of other towns, young couples no longer hide. What once lived in the shadows now stands in full light. And that light burns. Balochistan is not silent anymore. Because when love is murdered, love doesn't retreat, it retaliates. Psychology of revolution. Change doesn't begin in courts. It begins in conscience. The first step. Someone says, "This isn't normal," and someone else says it louder. Then someone else makes a video. Then someone else kicks down a door. That's how it grows. Not all at once. Not perfectly. But irreversibly. Stoic rule of fire. If you cannot stop the storm, become its lightning. These lovers thought they were walking home. What they didn't know was, they were planting a flag. Their death was meant to end something. Instead, it started something stronger than their killers ever expected. You can shoot bodies, but you cannot shoot ideas, you cannot shoot defiance, and you cannot shoot the truth. Their blood became ink. Their names became banners. Their story, now a weapon passed from hand to hand, screen to screen. And if that scares those in power, good, it should. In the final chapter, we turn the camera on you, because watching is no longer enough. Their story lives now in your hands. This video will end, the music will fade, the screen will go dark, and then you decide what happens next. Because watching this isn't awareness, it isn't activism, it's jury duty, and the verdict isn't spoken, it's acted. Right now, you're a number, a view count, a statistic in an algorithm, but if you stop here, if you feel something and do nothing, you've joined the 74 villagers who watched them die and said nothing. It's not my business. It's too far away. It's just how it is. That's what they said. That's what they always say. That's how this keeps happening. Stoic ultimatum. If you are not part of the resistance, you are part of the ritual. Ritual murder. Ritual silence. Ritual forgetting. And the only way to break a ritual is to replace it with a rebellion. So here's your role. Say their names. Comment their names. Carry their names. Make their killers famous for the right reasons. Call out every official who protected them. Email the UN. Tag the BBC. Flood timelines with grief reprogrammed into justice. Don't just share stand. You are not watching a video. You are standing in a courtyard. You are one of 74. But you still have a choice. Stand still. Or step forward. Be the one who screams when others stay silent. Be the one who breaks the math. The next time a couple walks home in Balochistan, let them find gardens, not graves. Let them find voices, not rifles. Let them find you already standing there. Because if they are brave enough to love in that place, you can be brave enough to fight from this one. The final word is not ours. It's yours. Act, comment, scream, tag, share, disrupt. Turn this video into a digital uprising. They were revolutionaries, and their bodies are not where this ends. They are where the war begins. Now swear the pact. I will be the scream where they were silenced. The rage where their mother stayed quiet. The justice where their killers celebrated. I will be the riot in every algorithm, every feed, every headline they tried to bury, until every Balochi lover walks home. Not 2 bullets, but 2 open doors. Their love wasn't weak, but your silence might be.